Graduating from the University of Alabama with a degree in kinesiology and exercise physiology, Christopher Key co-founded his company S.W.A.T.S, or the Sports with Alternatives to Steroids. On December 13, 2011, the Mitchell Report was published. The Mitchell Report was a 21-month investigation published by George J. Mitchell that studied athletes and their usage of anabolic steroids and human growth hormone in Major League Baseball. The 409-page report covers the history of the use of illegal performance-enhancing substances by players and their effects. Seeing the devastating effects that these drugs had on athletes, it was determined that something had to be done to help athletes enhance their performance and improve their physical and mental health. As an answer to this dilemma, Christopher Key co-founded S.W.A.T.S, a unique and exclusive program that uses current and former drug-free athletes from every sport as a role model to teach young athletes about character, staying free from illegal steroids, recreational drugs, nicotine, and alcohol. We'd like to welcome to the show Christopher Key. Welcome, Christopher. Hi, how are you? Hi, Christopher.
I'm always fabulous. How are you ladies?
Good.
Good. We're excited to talk to you. So, Virstyne mentioned it in the intro, but why don't you say once again, what does S.W.A.T stand for, and why did you feel the need? I guess we talked a little bit about why you felt the need to do this, but talk a little bit about the effects of steroids and, why this was important for you to develop.
Again, S.W.A.T stands for Sports with Alternative to Steroids. After the Mitchell Report came out, we saw that there was a problem with anabolic steroids in professional sports, and we figured something had to be done, so we created S.W.A.T, which allows athletes to compete without cheating, without using drugs, without using chemicals, without having surgery. And we did this on a very, very large scale, so much so that every major athlete in the world will begin to speak out about S.W.A.T and what S.W.A.T was doing and how S.W.A.T was effective for them. And because of that, we're now the only company in the world that has been officially banned by the National Football League. We've been banned by the PGA. We've been banned by Major League Baseball, Alabama, Auburn, and LSU, all because we help people without using drugs, without using chemicals, without having surgery. And Big Pharma has not liked what we've been doing, and because of that, they have now officially banned us by all these major organizations.
So what's interesting is you said the NFL has banned you. So why? Because I get that Big Pharma is, trying to stop you because obviously they want to make money, and if your product is successful, then they won't.
So you're cutting it on their action, basically.
Yeah. So, but the NFL too. So the NFL must be in bed with pharma then, if that's the case. Do you know about that?
Yeah, but people don't realize this, but Big Pharma owns a big chunk of all major professional sports. They're the number one advertiser for these sports, and they actually have a vested interest. So when we got these major athletes in the world to speak out about using the chips or using the antler velvet or using the enteric-coated tablet instead of using pharmaceutical drugs, the people begin to listen. And if the people begin to listen and begin to try these things, they quit taking their Lortab, their Oxycontin, their cortisone, their cortisol, and if they don't take these bad drugs, they end up not tearing their rotator cuff, they end up not having surgery, and they get out of that loop of Big Pharma. And Big Pharma cannot handle this, and that's why we've been officially banned now by all these major organizations around the world.
Oh, wow. So tell us a little bit, you mentioned a bit of some of the side effects of steroids, but to let our audience know, how bad these things really are, the synthetic ones, not the ones you make.
Yeah, it's synthetic anabolics, when they're used inappropriately, can enlarge the heart, can cause death, can cause many, many different disorders. And that's why we wanted to, number one, help educate these athletes. But these athletes have to be bigger, they have to be faster, they have to be stronger to compete at these elite levels. So we had to give them an alternative. And that's why we were able to get things that had been around for thousands of years, but people did not know about it, so these athletes could still compete at that same level. And again, we've done it very, very successfully.
Now, were you always interested in alternative medicine? Was this something that you were raised believing, or did you something that you came to understand later? And how did you start learning about it and getting interested in it?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I spent the first half of my life studying pharmaceutical drugs and what they would do off-label usages, and spent a lot of time studying these things and was very much for them. And the more and more research I began to do, I began to realize that these things have very, very bad side effects. And, most of these things that are synthetics were originally God-given plants, and then the pharmaceutical companies try to synthesize these things and make lots and lots of money off of them. And if you keep them in their pure state, it's amazing what they can do for the human body. Because, again, God's given us everything we need to repair ourselves. It's just man's trying to make lots and lots of money off of these things.
Yeah, true that. I know. So, I was looking at your site, and I saw a product called Jax, and I thought that was a very interesting product. So could you actually explain to our audience what Jax does and how it's used?
Okay, let me go into the antler velvet first, and then I'll go into Jax, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
The first product we put on the market that caused all the controversy was antler velvet. Are you familiar with HGH, human growth hormone?
I've heard of it, but I don't know a lot about it.
Right, me neither.
Okay, HGH is an amazing synthetic that is being touted around the world as being the fountain of youth. Many of your anti-aging clinics and whatnot around the country are using HGH. But what people don't realize when they take synthetic HGH, it's converted by the liver to IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, okay? I have deer that we harvest out of New Zealand. Their antlers are the fastest growing substance on planet Earth. They grow almost an inch a day. And the reason why they grow so fast is because the high concentrate of IGF-1 is found at the tip of the antlers. We've been able to freeze dry that, extract it out, and put it into a sublingual spray that you spray under your tongue, and it gives your body all those nutrients to repair, regrow, and rejuvenate. And it's completely and totally natural, okay? And this is what's so sad is the NFL ball players, their coaches and their trainers and their GMs of the teams are feeding all these athletes milk and meat at the training table. And what people don't realize, all this milk and meat in America now has bovine growth hormone in it, which is a synthetic form of IGF-1. So they're giving their athletes a banned substance, but yet they're making our substance banned because it's completely, totally natural. A lot of this is lack of education, and that's what we begin to try to do is educate these athletes that, again, this is completely, totally safe. It's completely effective. You will never fail a drug test, and it's what your body needs because we're not getting what we need anymore from our food because most of our food here in America is genetically modified organisms, which we can talk about later. But it's really, really sad, and that's why if these products are good enough for the elite athletes in the world, what could it possibly do for you?
Well, I have a question. Why do you spray under the tongue instead of why instead of pill form? I'm just curious.
It's a sublingual delivery system. Spraying it under the tongue allows it to penetrate and get through to the mitochondria and get directly into the blood cells. It's a much more effective delivery system. Most things, if you take them orally, they will be eaten up by the stomach acid in the stomach. And it's a very good delivery system that we see to be very, very effective.
Okay, so I also I was reading that Jax can boost your testosterone really high. So I'm just curious, as a female athlete that wants to compete, can I use this as well, or would I grow a beard?
Or again, moderation is everything.
Okay.
This right here, women produce testosterone. Okay, but again, once we hit 30 years of age, it's been proven in medical science that our test levels and our IGF-1 levels begin to decrease. And a lot of that, I think, is due to the water we drink, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe. Mm-hmm. So this allows your body, again, to get these natural substances naturally. The Jax product you're talking about has a combination of the antler velvet and long jackroot, okay? Long jackroot is a root that the Chinese have known about for many, many years, and it increases your natural testosterone levels. And, we need testosterone to make all the other cofactors work together so that our bodies can repair itself. So a woman over 30, I would recommend it. She would not grow a beard. But again, if you did anything excessively out of the ordinary, you could have some side effects. It's just like water. If you drink too much water, you can kill yourself.
But I can use this as a woman, just maybe not a lot, or as a female athlete, because I'm thinking of, like people that want to compete in the Olympics or something like that, like gymnast or swimmer, or somebody that need,
No, not to me. Yes, all those people can, but just your average woman. If you do get any woman tested on the street, the testosterone levels will be much more lower than what they have been because of the bad food, the bad water, and the bad air that we're breathing. So I would recommend these products to anybody. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine without a license. We just allow the human body to do what God intended it to do. So
your products are good for people other than athletes, basically, you're saying?
Well,
if say want people that want to. I'm sorry, go on.
We created this. We deal a lot with athletes, okay? And the reason why I did that was understanding how the root and the lead operate. I realized that they were using the athletes to control the masses. What I mean by that was when you see these athletes tell people to take the pharmaceutical drugs, to buy this product or buy that product, most of the good machines follow, right?
Yes.
So if they can use the athletes to control the masses, why can't we use the athletes to release the masses?
Exactly.
And that's what we were able to do. We were able to get these athletes, the most elite athletes in the world, to speak out about these things. And when they spoke out and said, look, use this antler velvet, use this pain chip instead of taking these pharmaceutical drugs, the people begin to listen. Because basically, if it's good enough for the athlete, then it's got to be good enough for you. And that's what we're trying to do. It's not, these products are not for athletes. These products are for anybody and everybody out there that wants to allow their bodies to heal themselves without using drugs, without using chemicals, without having surgery.
So I saw one of the videos that you did with athletes where you had them in a room and you were testing your product out, and you had these. Well, first of all, you hounded them basically about sleeping with their cell phones under their pillows. I was like, God, this guy means business. You're like, don't sleep with your cell phone. Ew.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? I moved my cell phone away from my bed after watching that video because I was like, damn, Anyway, but what are the effects? It has to do. I'm guessing it has to do with electromagnetic frequencies, right? That's why you don't want people sleeping with their cell phones by them while they're sleeping. So does it have to do with the effects of electromagnetic frequencies, and what do those frequencies, what effect do those frequencies have on the body, basically?
Well, basically, right now, as I'm talking to you two ladies on the phone, that there are frequencies that are blowing through my body and your bodies, from frequencies from the cell phone, from the Wi-Fi, to the power lines, the radio towers. They are all over the place. If you could physically see these frequencies right now, I mean, you would be doing everything you can to duck them. There's no way to get away from these things. These frequencies, I believe, are very, very dangerous. That's why I tell people, if you only listen to one thing I say, please do not listen to your cell phone. Have you ever noticed when you stay on your cell phone for 20, 30 minutes, you get hot, okay? Yeah. And most people think it's the cell phone getting hot. What I tell those people to do is take their cell phone away from your ear and feel the back of it. It will not be hot, okay? What's happening is those frequencies are physically cooking your brain, okay? These are very, very dangerous frequencies. But again, if you understand anything about science, for every action, there has to be an equal opposite reaction. So if there's bad frequencies, guess what? There has to be good frequencies, okay? We have won the last 4 national championships. I'm from Alabama, okay? And again, I don't like talking all about sports, but that's the way we've been able to get this message through to people. The last 4 national championships, you know what state they came out of?
Alabama.
All 4 of them have.
Yes.
Okay? And we've been able to work with those teams. And again, these products do not make those teams win all those games, but it gives them a competitive advantage. And 9 times out of 10, if you've got more energy, if you've got more balance, if you've got less fatigue, less injuries, less pain, you win, okay? And the way this works is, imagine a championship game when you got 100,000 people in the stands. Most of those people in the stands all have cell phones, don't they?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So can you imagine the frequencies going back and forth over the stadium? They are all over the place, okay? They are everywhere, and people have never thought about this. We finally realized this and realized that those frequencies are doing what medical studies show, affecting the people very, very negatively. If we can offset that and give these people more energy, then we would have a better chance of competing and whatnot. So, do you guys know anything about holograms?
No, I don't know. I mean, I know what one looks like, but I don't know how they work or anything like that.
Well, one of the things people don't realize about holograms are storage centers for information. A lot of your laptops, a lot of your cell phones have a hologram embedded inside there, which allows it to store more magnet memory. This was discovered by NASA, okay? So what I've been able to do is take that hologram and embed good frequencies into the hologram, okay? One of the things we learned from a guy named Royal Raymond Rife. Have you ever heard of Royal Raymond Rife?
No.
No.
Not I.
Okay. Yeah. Take some time and look this man up. It's very well proven. In 1934, Royal Raymond Rife was given 16 terminal cancer patients In 30 days, he cured 14 to 16. Took him another 30 days to cure the other 2. Okay? This is very well documented by the American Medical Association. He cured 100% of his cancer patients within 60 days. Okay? And what he was able to utilize was frequencies. Mr. Wright proved that everything on planet Earth has its own frequency which it resonates. Okay? So we've been able to take those frequencies because energy has a specific frequency. Pain has a specific frequency. Balance. All these things do. We've been able to embed those frequencies into a hologram and then just use ancient Chinese medicine, acupressure points, to then resonate these frequencies throughout your body instantaneously. That's why if you had shoulder pain, I could take a pain chip, put it directly where your pain is, take a thermal image photography of that pain, and you would see the red heat there before I put the chip on there. As soon as I put that chip on there, I take a second thermal image photo, and that heat would dissipate to green and yellow in real time, okay, with no drugs, no chemicals, no surgery. And that's why you saw in that one video, you know, I was putting the pain chips on those guys with knee pain and shoulder pain, and they were all looking at me like I was a witch doctor or a voodoo guy, were they not?
Yeah, they were like, oh! They couldn't believe it. It was freaky. It was cool, but like freaky at the same time. It was a freaky type of cool, though. You know what I mean? It was like almost like magic, but it's not. You're breaking it down in science, but I mean, like it's interesting. It
is very true science, and that's why I try to tell people that can't understand this. Like right now, if the three of us were sitting in the room and it was 1,000 years ago, and I glued in the TV 1,000 years ago and cut it on, that would be some crazy shit 1,000 years ago. I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, that would be crazy because how in the world did you get that man in that box? I mean, how did you do that?
Yeah.
You may not understand how the TV works, but you still watch it. You know, this technology, I love to help people understand it because that's what my mission is. Because if I can help you understand it, and you can help other people understand it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The technology works. If you don't believe it, try it. It's very effective. And again, seeing is believing, and the proof's in the pudding. And it just so happens that a lot of people around the world have loved what we're putting out, and that's why the powers that be have went after us with everything they can. Because again, no other company in the world has been officially banned by the NFL, by the PGA, by Major League Baseball for helping their athletes. This is what's so crazy about this. We're trying to help these athletes get away from the drugs and the chemicals, do what the Mitchell Report wanted. They wanted an answer to the problems with anabolic steroids. Here it is. We gave them that answer, and now they're trying to get rid of us. Initially, I thought, this doesn't make any sense, but the more and more I begin to study and I realize this is all about money and power, and what we're doing is, like you guys said earlier, we're taking a piece of the pie, and they don't like it. But that's only... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know, I was going to say definitely. And you know what I really like about you is the fact that you want to educate people about this technology. I think that's why we're one of the reasons we're in this mess in the first place is that all of this technology has been created. I mean, what have you, computers, medicine, other things that people just use every day, but they don't really know how it works, how it affects them, you know. So it's really empowering people, not only to help them, but also to give them the knowledge to be able to explain it to other people and know how it works for themselves.
Right.
Again, that's very well said. And, you know, people out there need to watch that one video you were talking about so they can see it for themselves. I've got numerous of videos like that from all the major football teams in the country because you can do – this is a very simple kinesiology test. I told you earlier, or you said earlier, my background's in kinesiology. And that's a very simple kinesiology test. The best way to do this test would be to put your body on what's called a Biodex machine. When you push against it, it gives you a numeric reading, and then you put a cell phone up to your chest, and you watch how instantly you begin to decrease. And you take another chip and put on there that has charges of good frequencies in there, and you'll see the body decrease instantaneously. Have you tried to do that cell phone test in any of your family members yet?
No. We'll put your video too. We'll put it on the link. We'll put it up there so people can listen or watch it.
Right, but I'm glad you're explaining it though, because so what were you putting on their? So what you're talking about is what you were putting on their wrist in the video.
Well,
the athletes.
Well, in the video, what I try to do is show them in real time that this technology is real. So I always pick the biggest, strongest guy in the room, and I will pull down in his arm. as he's pulling up against him, he'll literally, these are very, very big guys, and they'll literally lift me off the ground almost. And then I take a cell phone that is putting out very, very bad microwaves. I then take that cell phone, put it up to that guy's chest, and he falls like a little sissy girl. Because the frequencies from the cell phone are very, very bad for the human energy field. And when those frequencies come into the energetic field, it physically zaps you like a taser gun, okay? You don't physically feel it, but your body does. And that's why when you're walking around with these cell phones on your body all day long, they're constantly draining you over and over and over again. That's why, in America now, most people cannot sleep anymore. And most people are taking Ambien and all these different sleeping aids because these frequencies are interfering with REM sleep, and it's not allowing the body to recover. And that's what we have to help educate people. Try to keep your cell phone at least an arm length away from you at night to keep it from affecting you as much.
What about, I've seen on different websites and online, a lot of the vitamin stores will sell things that sort of block you like a cover for your computer, for your cell phone. Do any of those things work, or any of those things valid for people to use to try and reduce the effects?
Well, again, we were the first company to put this technology out there, and since then there's been thousands of other companies that say they do what we do. Are there some out there that really work? I believe there are. We haven't taken the time to test them ourselves. I would just ask for any of those that have these technologies to ask to see for double-blind placebo studies that prove that this technology is real. If somebody tells you that they're going to block the frequencies completely, they're lying to you, okay?
Right.
There's no way to block these frequencies unless you were to get into possibly Faraday cage. Even ours does not block the frequencies. It just allows your body to deal with these frequencies better. Okay, and it puts the good frequencies back into the body that can deal with these bad frequencies. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And wouldn't also just sort of going to no frequency zones for a while, and would that sort of help you balance out? Like how you feel good when you're going on a nature hike or something like that. You kind of, because you're getting into more natural frequencies, right?
Well, again, if you can find the time and have the access to get away out into the woods where there's no power lines or radio towers or cell phone towers or whatnot, then yes, I would strongly recommend doing that as often as you can, because that will allow your own body to build back up, be able to counter these things. And then again, when you take in good water, good food, and good air, that does nothing but allow the immune system to build itself back up also.
Well, that sounds very simple and a great way to try and help the body out.
It's hard.
Yeah, I know. And so what are your thoughts about stem cell therapy? And what is this product that you have?
Stem cell therapy, the research I've done on it has been amazing. They are really close to doing amazing things, and some other countries are doing very amazing things. But again, they're trying to do everything they can to keep that from coming into this country because it will cost them big money. People don't realize that, for over 60 years we've been looking for cures for all these other diseases, and we haven't found one single cure, yet we spend billions and billions of dollars every year. I believe this has all been done by design. I know for a fact that there's very, very simple ways to cure many diseases on this planet, but big pharma will not allow this to happen. Going into the stem cell therapy, did you read any information about the enteric-coated tablet that we have?
The what?
The enteric-coated tablet. Have you guys read anything about the 4,000-plus NFL ball players that were all suing the NFL because of concussions?
No, I haven't.
No, let's hear about that.
Bring it on.
Okay, well, I've always been the type of person, I've always looked for a problem, and then when I see a reaction from the public, I've always tried to provide the solution. Like you said with the Mitchell report, when we identified there was a problem, we try to create the solution. 4,000 NFL ball players this past year all sued the NFL because of concussions, because of all the damage that's been done to the brain from concussions. So we went back to the lab, and we came up with a product called an enteric-coated tablet that we believe, and we have the documentation to show how we've been able to work with many of these NFL athletes to help reverse the damage that has been done regarding concussions. Are you guys familiar with the second brain in the body?
Yes, the guts.
You are? Okay.
The guts.
A lot.
Actually, we're like I am. April, you know the gut, right? But I think, would you explain it to our audience?
Yes, please.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize that they have two brains in their body. They have the brain in the head that everybody knows about, and then they also have the second brain in the small intestines, okay? And this is now proven by medical science. This is very well documented, and they've proven that the second brain in the gut has more neurotransmitters than the brain in the head and the spine combined. Okay. Have you ever heard somebody say they had a gut feeling or they felt it in their gut?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you felt that, or you heard somebody say that because they physically did feel it in their gut. Okay. And this is so important for anybody out there that has autism or has any kind of immune system deficiency or whatnot, to work on healing that second gut. Because if you can heal those neurotransmitters in that second gut, you can then get the nutrients throughout the rest of the body. So we created an enteric-coated tablet that has what I talked about earlier, antler velvet, but also has a combination of colostrum. Are y'all familiar with colostrum?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell our audience what it is, though. Yes.
I don't know actually, but yeah. Tell me. Educate me.
Yes, you do. Colostrum is mother's milk. Okay. Mother's milk is one of the most amazing nutrients on the planet, and that's why medical, big pharma and whatnot have done everything they can to try to get women away from breastfeeding, okay? Because breastfeeding is God's way of giving the baby all the antibodies and all the nutrients it needs, again, to rebuild, regrow, and rejuvenate. So we've been able to take a combination of the antler velvet with the colostrum and the astragalus and ginseng and help the second brain begin to heal itself. The antler velvet and the colostrum work as a yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine, and what's been happening with this supplement is beyond crazy, where we've had guys that were thinking about suicide, were ready to kill themselves, all these suicidal thoughts, they began to get on this product, and those thoughts got out of their head. They couldn't hardly talk. They couldn't move. They couldn't function. It's been beyond amazing. You can watch those videos of all these elite athletes talking about, what happened to them in the NFL, how they got on this product, and how they were able to heal their body with completely, totally natural substances. So I would strongly recommend anybody out there that has any issues to look at the enteric-coated tablet because of the antler velvet and the colostrum, the astragalus, and the ginseng. They can do amazing things for the human body.
Wow.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I wanted to say too. That's amazing. First of all, but also, I want to go back to when we were talking. You were talking about how you've done research and that you realize that all of this is done by design. And I was just worried. I was just wondering if you see any way to awaken the masses of the evils of the pharmaceutical industry. Do you think they'll always have a major hold on the majority of the population, and only a few people will wake up, or have you seen people in record numbers starting to realize with
in record numbers, guys? For me to be able to speak to you guys on the phone like this, on a radio station that's being pumped out to people, would have never happened 6, 7, 8 years ago. Okay? One of the things your listeners have to realize is the power is in every single one of them. Okay? The biggest kept secret is one person can change the world. And they don't want you to realize the power that you yourself have. They want everybody to think, oh, my goodness, this is all doom and gloom. I'm one little person. What am I going to do? Well, what every single one of you can do is take the information you'll hear on this radio show and take it and share it with one other person, okay? 1 turns to 2, 2 turns to 4, 4 turns to 8. Before you know it, the world will begin to wake up to the tyranny that's going on throughout the world. Good always prevails over evil. And like you said, people are waking up in hundreds of thousands right now. So we have to continue to get this information out there about these ruling elite and what it is they're doing, to our water, to our food, to our air, and wake up and begin to stand up for what is right.
Have you had any success, or do you know if you've had any success with vaccine-injured people since your product is able to regenerate nerve tissue?
Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't practice medicine at a license, but we still have the First Amendment right of free speech, and I can tell you that there's people that told us that they were damaged by vaccines. They were able to use the product, and they have told me that it has helped them tremendously. Okay, We have to be very careful with what we do and what we say, because then we could be practicing medicine.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
To shut us up and shut us down. But I tell people, don't believe anything I say. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Go do your own research. And when you begin to do your own research, you'll begin to realize that more than likely these things are very, very real. And this is just one of many different things. There are thousands of natural things out there that I believe can help anybody heal themselves from the damage that has been done by vaccines, okay? But you have to do your own research and begin to study these things, because God's given us, again, everything we need. I believe if you take in good water, good frequencies, good supplements and herbs, the body can heal itself from anything. But again, that's my personal belief.
Okay.
Hey, Christopher, are you familiar with Dr. Andrew Wakefield?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're talking about, I'm very familiar with what you're saying because I have an autistic child. He was vaccine damaged. And when I went to a lecture of Andrew Wakefield a couple years ago, and he was talking exactly what you're talking about, this second brain in the gut, because he was a gastroenterist, a GI doctor. But he explains it better. I mean, one of the people in the audience was actually a pediatric neurologist, and she said that actually is a better explanation of how the brain functions than any neurologist could ever possibly do, because they don't recognize that second brain in the gut. And it's just really interesting. I mean, obviously we know what happened to him, he was just completely shut down for basically just giving sound research on what was happening to the neurotransmitters in the gut, and after people were getting vaccinated. And it's just really, it's interesting, and how one of the when you were talking, because I was going, oh, this is very familiar. I remember, when he was discussing this in that lecture about this second brain and how there's more neurotransmitters in the gut than in the brain that we think of in the head. So very, very interesting. So
that's why it's so important to work on that second brain. And that's why they know when they put the fluoride in the water, when they force us to eat the genetically modified organisms, when they're spraying the aluminum phosphate and whatnot in the air, all those things are proven to kill those neurotransmitters. And if they can continue to kill those neurotransmitters, the body can't do what it was meant to do. So that's why we tell everybody it's so important to work on healing that second brain.
Yeah, I mean, they destroyed, Dr. Wakefield, not because he was wrong, but because he was right.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And he was telling the truth, and he's just, the most very sincere person I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's very straightforward, and he's not trying to come up with any conspiracies. He's just saying this is what's going on to the gut, what I saw in my patients. And one of the rumors they say is that he was coming up. He had a financial investment that he was coming up with a vaccine of his own, but that's not true. He was using a substance called transfer factor that he said would actually help to boost the immune system. Are you familiar with that?
I'm very, very much familiar with that, and that's why, guys, that's why we try to stay under this umbrella of athletics, okay? Because that's kind of protected us. But again, that's why they're going after us too, because they can't have the masses begin to think for themselves and realize that they can take this pain kit and put it on their pain. They can take this tablet that can possibly heal their second brain. They can take Amivelvet that can help rebuild all these growth factors and whatnot and heal the body without using drugs, chemicals, and surgery. And they're going to do everything they can to shut us down, plus all the other. Right now in California, raw milk is illegal.
I know.
How much more crazy can it get? Freaking raw milk. But they're going in and knocking down doors, not looking for crack cocaine or heroin or anything else, but wanting to see if you've got raw milk. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Put that carton down, free.
I know.
It's in her head. It's like insane. Yeah, we're both in California, so.
Yeah, it is.
Y'all know it's crazy.
Yeah, it's actually legal here, but they've shut it down so many times that you'd think it was illegal. They want you to believe that it's illegal. I had they sell it at a few of the health food stores, and one I think it was last year around the holiday season, they shut it down right before the holidays and said that they found some contamination, and so they had to strip all the raw milk off the shelves. And
but they stripped the whole store, right? Is this the one where they took everything? They basically robbed them.
It took them 3 months to run all their tests, and they could not find one single carton that had any type of contamination whatsoever. But they sure enough made it so that they got them off for the holiday season, so that when people are out spending more and buying food and serving their families and stuff, they didn't have access to it. So that was real nice of them.
I know.
It's just crazy. But one of the things I saw on your YouTube video, Christopher, you had a video about Bill Williams, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. I find this really interesting because I've always thought the AA approach was sort of wonky, because to me it seems like there is a lot of, like you're saying with the second brain, a lot of biological things that are going on with a person who has alcoholism, including what I've always thought maybe it was connected to like candida or yeast overgrowth, because it seems like that would tell your brain you want more, it would sort of feed the yeast kind of thing. So tell us about what Bill Williams did with the vitamin therapy and how that worked on his patients.
I mean, it's amazing the more research you go and look into. I mean, he was able to heal himself of alcoholism by using high doses of the niacin, and it's very well documented, but AA would not let him speak out on these things. And they try to say that they don't want to move to any other things, but again, it's all about nutritional deficiency. We give the body what it needs, the body can heal itself. And the 12-step program is one of the most profitable programs in the world. If people just got on niacin and didn't have to do all that counseling and whatnot, it goes back to money and power. That they would be able to make all these.
And is there really
again, follow the money.
It's not a very effective program too, because most 90% of people go back on
alcohol. They fail.
Yeah.
Funniest story. One of my buddies that's been to AA many times himself said that they were in an AA meeting, and there was this guy that had his 8th trip through AA, and he got up and he was listening to these people and said, "Look, this program works. I'm living proof. This is my 8th time. I promise you it works." I mean, he's been to the program 8 times. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's ridiculous, because I mean, the pharmaceuticals that are out on the market have about the same type of efficacy rate. A lot of times, it really only works in about 5 or 10% of the people, and this could be a placebo effect for all we know. So it's but they continue to spew it like it works, but it's just total propaganda. So speaking of propaganda, let's talk about the TSA, because you've done a lot of activism against the TSA. Tell our audience about the TSA and why people should be, resisting this.
Well, again, this all goes back to the frequencies. When you go through that full body scanner, that is microwaving your body. And that's why when you go in and get x-rays and whatnot done, they put the big metal jacket over top of your private areas, because that will cook you inside. Okay, but yet these guys are wanting me to go through a full body scan. It's crazy. I was in Baltimore last year, and I opted out of the full body scanner, and the guy proceeded to grope me and molest me, and it was the worst experience. I've never been touched by a man, and this man physically raped me, and he took his hands and stuck it in my pants. Okay, so he stuck his hands inside my pants and went away on both sides. I mean, it was beyond degrading. I allowed it to happen. I shouldn't have, because I had business. I had to get home. I should have went to jail. They called the police over and everything, because I was ready to fight. But I gave in and admitted to. Allowed it to happen. And then this past year, Thanksgiving, we had a national opt-out campaign where everybody was going to opt out and shut everything down. So we had a bunch of stories done here locally and nationally, and I fly quite a bit, and my guys here in Birmingham know me very well. And in Birmingham, we don't have a full-body scanner. We just have a metal detector. So I had $10 worth of quarters in my pocket. I had a cell phone. I had a pin camera, a big, huge metal pin camera, because I was going to set the metal detector off, so then they would have to pat me down. And when the guy sexually molested me, I was going to get my phone out, and I was going to call 911 immediately and have the guy arrested for rape. And when I go through the metal detector, it did not go off. I went through, went back out of the airport, went back through a second time, and it didn't go off. But they deliberately cut the metal detector off because they did not want me to press charges against me. And the reason why I was doing this is because Jesse Ventura sued the TSA, but he lost that suit. So what I figured is go after these guys individually. You guys were talking about vaccines. I was able to put together a letter here in Alabama where we sent it out to all the schools, and we basically used fear-mongering, which I hate to do, but I realize they use fear-mongering against us, so why can't we use it against them?
Yeah.
I put this letter out, and this will come back to the TSA, so bear with me. I put this letter out and said, look, you guys are telling everybody in Alabama that it's the law that they have to get their shots, okay? The law here in Alabama clearly states that you can have a medical and/or religious exemption, okay? And you guys are telling them it's the law. What you don't realize, number one, is there's been laws passed that will not allow me or you to individually sue the vaccine companies. You cannot sue the vaccine companies anymore. But that law does not protect you individually, okay? So if you tell somebody it's the law, they get this vaccine, they die or have some kind of adverse reaction to it, you know they can personally sue you individually. Okay, you guys need to fix this because I don't want you to get sued individually. When I put this letter out to these schools here in Alabama, they wouldn't change the references they had on the website. They changed the letters we were sending home to everybody, and they basically finally said, "Look, you can have a medical and/or religious exemption." Because
that was really smart.
Well, again, you have to understand how these guys work. So I figured, okay. If Jesse Ventura can't sue TSA, then if I press charges against that one TSA agent for sexual assault and rape, all it takes is me to sue that one person and have him arrested for rape. The other guys are going to think twice before they do that, okay?
How about the airports? Could you sue the airports and not the TSA?
You probably could, but again, that's great and wonderful, but I think we go after the people individually, okay? Because, again, when you go after those people individually, do you want to get sued? No, you do not. Do you want to be front-page news that you were arrested for what is alleged rape? No, you don't. So it won't take the 3 or 4 times for that to happen, and these TSA guys, when they're told they have to molest these people, they'll start saying, look, dude, I don't want to touch that guy because I don't want to be convicted of, allegedly be convicted of rape. And that's why they shut it down, and I haven't had a chance to fly again yet, but they physically cut off their metal detectors. I mean, can you believe this? Here it is, they're supposed to be protecting us.
Terrorists, right? Because they're going to pop out.
Of course, all these major terrorists, and they cut the metal detectors off. I mean, and then I was in Dallas, and the full body scanners were all broken. Okay, they were broken. All of them in Dallas was broken. I'm like, this is crazy.
That must be a terrorist heyday right there, because
yeah, we're all the terrorists when they're broken. Yeah, the body scanners. They don't show up that day, so I guess.
That's broken. Let's blow some people up. Let's go where you're at.
All right, let me tell you one more quick TSA story. I saw the first full body scanners when I was flying into Utah, and there was this young lady that was pregnant, and she was standing there by the full body scanner, and I went through. I went through the metal detector. They didn't force me to go through the full body scanner, and I went through and I said, "Look, ma'am, you're pregnant. I'd like to give you some information about the microwaves that are coming out of this thing. You owe it to your child to do some research because you very much, I believe, damage that baby that's inside you right now." And all of a sudden, one of the supervisors comes up and says, "What are you doing? What is this information?" I'm like, "Look, this is just information that these full body scanners are bad and they get called to the vets." He's like, "Oh, that's propaganda. That's not true." He says, "I'll have you know the guy that invented these, he personally came down here and sit down, sit down and talk to us, and he told us that these things were unbelievably safe, unbelievably effective." He said, "What reason would that guy have to lie to us?" I said, "Sir, are you serious? These things cost $250,000. He's got at least $250,000 to lie to you, idiot."
Yeah.
Right.
$250,000 per machine? And how many machines do they have at the airports in the United States? And then they're planning on expanding to bus stations and train stations? Please.
Right.
I mean,
of course it's going to be safe.
They want to expand to schools too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the schools, the proms, the grocery store, the post office. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is nothing but tyranny, and they're trying to see how much they can get away with, and that's why I tell people to stand up, and you have to stand up for your Constitution. You have to stand up for your amendments. I mean, it's just completely, totally unlawful search and seizure. They cannot do it. But again, if we continue to allow them to get away with it, they're going to keep doing it, and that's why we have to stand up together.
I have a question really fast, just going back to, because I saw the video when you were filming the TSA. What are your rights as a citizen for somebody who would like to film the TSA? Because I mean, it's, well, go on. Yeah, could you explain that?
Now, say that again. What was the question?
What are our rights as U.S. citizens, as somebody that has a video camera and would like to film the TSA in action? Are we well within our rights to do that?
Yes, ma'am. On their own website, up until Thanksgiving, they had on there that it was completely, totally lawful to film the TSA procedures. Okay, so it is on their own website. They've just taken it down, but we still have that policy. But they have not changed. So yes, everybody within their rightful laws and rights to film the TSA.
But I think it's like you can't. The only thing is if you're physically like interfering with their work, then you can't. But other than that, you're allowed. Because I remember you were just sitting down. You were well within. You were a good amount away from them. You weren't interfering with their work, but they still were like trying to harass you because you had your video camera on. Now, if they're doing their job, why are they? If they're within their rights, why are they being afraid of being filmed?
Well, they shouldn't be, and that's why you have to stand your ground. So say it again.
No. That was my point. But go on. Sorry.
Well, again, that's why you have to stand their ground and basically tell them, you're not doing anything wrong. I'm not interfering with anything, and this is perfectly lawful and legal. And if you don't believe it is, then I'll be happy to call the police for you, and we can bring the police over here because the police know what their lawful rights are, and it's perfectly legal for you to film them. Just make sure you're not interrupting any of the procedures. And that's basically what I'll do is I'll get off from behind them and just hit record and begin to film them. And they hate that. They can't stand when they're being filmed because what do they have to hide? They have everything to hide.
Yeah, exactly. You know what though too, because that it's legal to film cops too, but they don't like it either. So I'm thinking, what if you call a cop over and they side with the TSA because they don't like being filmed? But technically, I guess what people really need to know, as long as they're not physically interrupting what they're doing, like for instance, if a cop is trying to arrest somebody, but you're like between the person that they're trying to arrest and the cop, right? Then okay, yeah, you can't film. But if you're like a good feet within a reasonable amount of distance, you can still see, you're not interfering, you're just a bystander watching, then you have the legal right to film.
Well, you completely do, and basically if you know those rights and you let that officer know that, he won't like it, and he'll try to take sometimes he may try to take your phone away, and that's why I have all my film that goes straight to YouTube, and I let them know that, and I'm like, look, if you take this away from me, this is broadcasting live right now, and all you're going to do is incriminate yourself, and that's beginning to stop them quick in their feet because, they know I'm within my rights because the Constitution and the Supreme Court has upheld this many different times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and it's good to go out. I mean, they're individual people, and you've got to reason with them and get them, and they're going to be afraid of being sued individually. I mean, it's kind of like, we talk about, all of the wars and things that are going on. If the military just stands down, then there's no war. Then there's no one to fight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the TSA can do the same. There would be no TSA if the agents it wouldn't be a problem if they would just all take their, be responsible about how they, approach the security. So, going back to the vaccine thing, we love the No Shots, No School, Not True campaign. We had Marcella Park-Pateri on our show before, and the founder of Vax Truth, who started this campaign. And I noticed that you're involved in it too, or you post a lot about it. So tell us about it and how you're involved in it.
Well, again, like I told you earlier, with the letters I've written, I've got quite a few videos where I went down to the health department and got them on film, trying to lie, but then have helped explain to them there is no law that says no shots, no school. I mean, that's why we have to individually know our rights. You have to take the time to study these things. When people tell you can't do something, ask that question why, and go do the research on these things. I mean, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I know that there's no reason why my children should have mercury put into their bodies. There's no reason in the world why my children should have formaldehyde or aborted fetal tissue or any of these toxic chemicals put into their body. And my biggest thing has been to the CDC and the AMA is, look, show me one study. All I ask for is one study that shows me the Schedule safe. Why can't you give me one study? And they can't. And everybody out there should ask that question. You know, where's the study that shows the Schedule safe? And not only that, where's the study to show that they're even effective? It's
right.
not out there.
Yeah.
So why do we constantly put these chemicals into our body? I mean, God gave us an immune system, and my belief is build up that immune system with natural substances because that immune system can fight off these diseases. And when you put all these neurotransmitters, toxic chemicals into the body at a very young age, it kills its ability to fight off these things. And that's why 1 out of every 88 children born today will have autism. I mean, these numbers were unheard of. Unheard of.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I wanted to ask one more question. I don't know. It might be a little bit off topic, but I was on your page and I saw that you also use Kangen water. And my best friend and his brother are insanely but in a good way. They're very I want to say maybe obsessive isn't the right word, but they're in love with it. They think it's the best. And I'm starting to use it, and I like it too. I was wondering what turned you on to Kangen water, and why are you using it in conjunction with your products?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, we try to teach our athletes 4 very simple things. Taking real water, taking real food, taking real frequencies, and taking real supplements and herbs. And when you do those 4 things, your body will heal itself. Going into Kangen water, in the early 90s, I did a lot of research on water when I was at Alabama. And every single one of my athletes were dehydrated. And my professors taught me that when you were dehydrated, you drink water. So I would give my athletes, I would give them a half a gallon, I'd give them a gallon, I'd give them a gallon and a half, and then I would test their hydration, and they were still freaking dehydrated. I would go to my professor and say, look, what is going on here? You're doing something. I was like, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is what I've done, and I've done thousands of athletes, and everybody's dehydrated. We don't know. And that just drove me crazy because here it is, I've been taught, in my undergrad and graduate degree, to hydrate with water, and it didn't work. And I tried Gatorade and all these other substances. What I come to find out many years later is the water I was giving these athletes, number 1, was positively charged. Okay? If you know anything about magnets, if you take 2 magnets that are both positively charged and you press them against each other, what do? They repel. Yeah. Okay? They will not come together. So when you take positively charged water into a positively charged body, what happens to the cells? They repel. It's not brain surgery. It's not real hard to figure out. The Kangen water is negatively charged. Okay? So when you take negatively charged water to a positively charged body, what happens? It hydrates.
Yeah, it's like
that makes such perfect sense. And you take a millivoltmeter, put that in the water, and you will see negative 200 to 400 decibels. Not only is the water negatively charged, it has a high alkalinity. Okay? Alkalinity is so important. We try to keep everybody to take litmus paper and test their body pH every single day because Dr. Warburger in the early 1900s proved that no virus or bacteria can live in an alkali state. Okay? They gave him a Nobel Peace Prize for this. Okay? If you keep your body alkalized, guess what? You don't get viruses and bacteria that can't live within inside you. So that's why I believe that the most efficient, effective way to keep the body alkalized is to take in highly alkalized water. The Kangen water is highly alkaline, and it also has the antioxidants to get rid of the free radicals. People don't understand how important water is. Your body's 70% water, okay? You're one big swimming pool, and that's why they've done everything they can to contaminate the water. Do you realize anything you flush down your toilet, if you don't have a septic tank, you know what happens to that water? It goes to the water treatment plant. At the water treatment plant, they treat it, and then they give it back to you. Okay, that's beyond disgusting. And then when you realize they put fluoride and chlorine in it. Okay, I don't know how much y'all know about fluoride, but it's one of the most toxic elements on the planet. I mean, it is so dangerous. You don't need to be taking in water that has fluoride in it. And the Kangen water system will help push the fluoride out the other side of the acidic minerals. So the Kangen water, right now, it's got 25 years of medical science behind it. Yeah. It's been the best thing I've seen As far as water on the... Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Go on. Well, I'm just going to say it's amazing, and we're actually thinking about doing a show on it. But yeah, sorry.
Well,
I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
Well, if you want, A.J. Krause is the leading Kangen distributor in the country. He's a very good friend of mine, and if y'all would like to have him come on your show and talk about the Kangen water, I'd love to arrange that, because Kangen water is so important, guys. Getting good water into the cells is so important. For those out there that can't get Kangen water, I believe the next best thing is distilled water, but you have to add your minerals back to it. If you've got to buy bottled water, Smart Water and Fiji water, it's a little bit better. The cheap bottled water uses reverse osmosis, and they add acid back to it. It's not very good for the body, and I would never, under any circumstances, if I could help it, drink water from the tap, because it is so disgusting.
I know. My stomach just turned.
I know. And it's unfortunate because, like how you're mentioning, we need, if you distill it, then you have to put the minerals back in. The same with if you do a reverse osmosis, you have to remineralize it, because then you have to strip it of all the toxins and then put the minerals that you need back in. Otherwise, you're not going to get hydrated. I think. What do you think about baking soda as a way to alkalize your body? I think that works pretty well too, don't you?
Baking soda is a great substance that works very well. There's many different alkalizing fruits and vegetables. 33% hydrogen peroxide, I think is another wonderful way to alkalize the body. But again, we're taking in all these acidic things from the water, food, and air that we're breathing. Your body is constantly battling to stay acidic versus alkalized, and that's why it's so important, I think, to test your body pH every single day. When you sit up, take litmus paper and test that, because, again, anything about swimming pools, as long as your swimming pool's pH stays neutral, the swimming pool is beautiful, it is blue, it is crystal clear, but if that pH gets acidic, that's when the algae, the fungus, it turns green, the mold, all those things begin to grow. Your body is nothing more than a big swimming pool, and that's why it's so important to keep that body alkalized.
Wow.
I know.
Christopher, I wanted to ask you a question, because this is something that is such a hot issue right now, is the whole gun control thing. So what are your thoughts on that, and what do you think is going on?
Well, again, what is going on is this has been what our forefathers put into the amendment to protect us, okay? They know if they can disarm the United States of America, they can then take us over. And that's what they're trying to do right now, foremost. And what you have to understand, that this is not about hunting or having a personal gun and whatnot. I mean, these AK-47s, these semi-automatic weapons, I believe you need to have them. You have to have them, because the Second Amendment was put into place for one simple reason. It was to allow us to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government. Okay? This government is not supposedly tyrannical now, but they may become tyrannical tomorrow, and we have to be able to protect ourselves. They're going to have the semi-automatic weapons, so the only way they co-defend against that is for us to have them also. And that's why they're trying to demonize these things and say they got to get rid of these things. But again, it's not the semi-automatic weapons that are killing people. It's the people that are killing people. Okay? Right. The gun does not kill people. More people die in car accidents every year, so let's go ban cars. I mean, just this morning when I was watching CNN, which I rarely do, the idiot was talking about how there was another shooting and 6 people were killed in Chicago. 6 people were killed in Chicago, and they need to get rid of the guns. Do you know that Chicago is the one that have all the guns banned?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, come on. So the guns were banned in Chicago, but yet all these people died. So is that gun ban working? No, it's not. It's not working.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I know.
So no.
Yeah.
Keep your guns. You have to keep your guns. And again, it's for protection against a tyrannical government.
Right. Yeah, and we're kind of seeing that set up a little bit here with the NDAA passing and all those kinds of things, trying to, basically saying that they can just declare martial law when they feel like it, and then come in and take away the guns or take away your food supplies, and indefinitely detain citizens without trial. So all that is very scary if you're not going to be armed. Even still, it's kind of. So I agree. Yeah, the gun control thing is not. And so why do you think they're pushing this? Just to keep us, I don't know, to make sure that we can't fight back?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly why they're doing it. I mean, again, if you go back and study history, this is what all the tyrannical governments did right before they took over the country and declared dictatorship. They went in and took away the guns because they knew if the people didn't have the ability to defend themselves, they could take over that country. And that's what they're doing. And I don't want to believe that, but again, I'm very much a student of history, and if you don't know history, it's doomed to repeat itself. So, it's like a blueprint. They're doing exactly what's worked before, and that's why we have to resist with every last bone in our body and not let them take our guns.
Right. And, we've seen that happen that happened in Russia, that happened in Cambodia, that happened, everywhere.
Where there's been mass genocide, basically, where the government genocided the population, just...
Right. They first disarm them, and then they just go in and take them out. So definitely we don't want that to happen. And how do we resist that? Because it looks like our president might be thinking about doing an executive order just to say, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but Joe Biden has kind of hinted to that might happen. And so what would we do at that point?
That's where you have to go back and study your Constitution, okay? It's so important for people to know the Constitution and what it stands for and to be able to teach the Constitution to other people because he can make an executive order all day long, but that executive order does not mean shit, It means absolutely nothing. But the people, when he says he's applied this executive order, they're like, okay, it's an executive order. But that executive order cannot violate the Constitution, okay? And that's why, one person has to tell 2 and 4 and 8 about the Constitution so people will wake up and realize what is happening is wrong, and we stand up in arms. I don't want to have to fight. I'd rather use the pen, but when it gets to the point that you have to do what's right, you have to be able to defend yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people. I'll just stop on that note. But yeah.
No, that's a good place to stop. So we could continue on with you, but we are out of time here. We're running out of time here, but we have had a really great conversation, and hopefully we can have you back on because we know that there's a lot more to talk about, and we'd love to have you on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I appreciate what you two ladies are doing to help spread the truth to the rest of the people out there. If anybody wants to call me directly and talk to me directly, my direct cell is 205-936-9803. You can call me anytime. My website is S.W.A.T.S, edge.com, and you can add me on Facebook, Christopher Key. And again, guys, stand up for what is right and try to spread the truth to everybody out there.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thank you.
You're doing a great job too. What you're doing is very inspiring. So
it is.
Got to stick together and educate each other.
Yeah, and you're just a very nice guy and very sincere. So we appreciate you being on our show, and thank you so much. And we are going to go to a quick break. A quick commercial, and then when we get back, Virstyne and I will close out the show. But we want to thank once again Christopher Key. It was a pleasure. We're so glad to have you on the show today, and we look forward to having you on again.
Hey, thank you again, guys. And I need to get both of you those mailing addresses. So if you could send me those mailing addresses, I can send you out some product I'd like for you guys to try yourself, okay?
Oh, yeah, no, you're great.
No, we will. So
all right.
I'll do that right now. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to cut, and we'll be right back.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.